Hi everyone, this is Mikhail. I have been sent this puzzle by Siddiq, and there's only one move for black to win this game. The move is on black, and he has only a knight. And it is a really scary position because in most games, when you only have a knight, most likely you are going to lose. But in this position, there is a way out. First, I want you to pause the video and think about the winning move here. And like I said, there's only one winning move. And I know that you might like go into deep mode thinking into it, but it's actually pretty simple. Um, for strategic play here, um, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give you the first move here. The first move here is actually knight a6. The reason is the bishop on c5 is something that black needs to take. If he goes here or there, you are giving white the option to sacrifice his pieces any way he would like. And I'm gonna show you why it is bad to play, let's say, this move right here, knight c6, because he is simply going to sack his a bishop on e5, and then once he take, he simply would play bishop d4, and once the black knight captures on f3, white is gonna play g4, and then it will be take, take. So it's definitely a bad move. And that's why I said when you're in this position, you don't want to give white the option to sack anywhere he would like. And let's say you would go over here, this square, knight d7. You will also make it easy for white to sacrifice his bishop on f8, and then he's simply gonna move his pawns forward to get you to capture the rest of his pieces. And now your moves are limited because if you go to h7, he is simply gonna sack over here, do a waiting move. You're gonna take here, then sack here or there, and then he's gonna sack his last pawn as well. And it is the same scenario if you go to e6, it will be the same thing. Here, waiting move, take, here, take, and then there. So you're pretty much forced to go to d7 again. And in this case, he is simply gonna play e5, bishop e5, and once you take, he's gonna march forward with his g pawn, and once you take on f3, he's gonna go with g6, and it doesn't matter where he goes, he's gonna sack on f3, and then it doesn't matter where this knight goes, it is gonna lose. And obviously you want to limit what kind of promotions white can make, so your best move here is to go to e5, forcing him to promote to a knight and prolong the game just a little bit longer, because a bishop you would sack here, a king would sack on the same square, and a rook you would sack here, and it's the same thing with a queen. So obviously white is going to promote to a knight, and it doesn't matter where you go, you are going to lose. Here would be the fastest mate, here would be the fastest mate. So you are probably going, here would be as well. So you're probably gonna go to either of these squares right here, but it doesn't really matter because you are going to lose. That's why the best move for black is actually a6. And like I said, the reason is you want to limit the squares that he can sack on, and you're forcing him to sack this bishop on this square or that square, b4. And there is no use for this tempo from white's perspective. Let's say he's just gonna untangle these pawn structure, make it a little bit more free. Let's say he's gonna go over there. You're gonna take the bishop, and now white's moves are limited because if he plays to f5 or f3, black is gonna sack on either of these squares. So his only moves are to move the bishop somewhere or play g4. So in either case, if white plays g4 or move the bishop somewhere, let's say he is gonna play g4, you wanna get rid of this bishop. You don't want it to make waiting moves. And you just wanna be good with these pawns right there. So you are going, black have to play knight a4 here. And now the bishop is going to be sagged here or there. It doesn't really matter, but let's say he is going to be sagged here. You are going to take, and now the best move for white is actually g5, because let's say obviously you can play f3 because black is gonna sack here. And if white plays f5, then there's always this move that you can play, which is knight e2. That way you are threatening to sack here. So you are forcing white to play to f3. Because if you don't, if you want to sack your pawn, then now black is gonna sack his knight on either of these squares the next move. And if you just play here, you are going to get to f4 as well, and you're gonna have the same square. That's why the best move for white is actually g5, and that's just to prolong the game just a little bit longer. Now there's a brilliant move for black that will win him the game. Pause the video to see if you can find it. Excellent idea. The move is actually knight e4. And obviously white is forced to play f5 to unprotect the g pawn. And now you have these two connected pawns right here and this isolated pawn. Would you take this pawn or this pawn right here? That's right. Taking this pawn is actually a mistake because after this couple of sacks, white's pawn is gonna be fast and he is not going to go anywhere. And now you can promote to a knight or a king and win the game from there. It will be a knight race or a king race. Choose your pick. And obviously, rook would be a beat, and uh, a bishop would be a defeat as well. So that's why it is best to capture this f pawn and have these two isolated pawns right here. Now it doesn't matter where he goes to. Let's say he plays here. You are going to play here. Let me know in the comments what would you do if he decided to play f7. But I'm gonna show you what to do if he decided to play g6. You're simply gonna play knight e5, and obviously he can't advance this pawn because then you would sack here. And so his best option is obviously to go to g7, and then you would simply go to knight g6, and you are threatening to sack on either of these squares. I hope you have enjoyed this puzzle, and thank you very much for Sadiq for sharing it with me. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe with notifications on. Take care and see you later.